What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 1 of the Henotic Path Podcast. My name is Joshua Whitney. I am the host. And on today's episode, we are just freestyling. I have no notes, no real plan on what exactly I want to say, but we're just going to roll with it and see what comes of it. I definitely want to introduce myself real quick, and I want to share a little bit about my current struggle. I do know that. So I guess we'll start there. My name's Joshua. I'm 35, going on 36, live in Michigan, and I'm somewhat of a new dad. My daughter is coming up on a year old, which is pretty exciting, to say the least. Fatherhood has been one of the greatest gifts and greatest adventures I could have ever asked for so far. So really, really enjoying that. A little bit about me. I've been on a spiritual awakening journey, I guess you could say, for 8 years or so, starting in 2017. In 2017, I found myself in the ICU. I had overdosed on a combination of drugs and alcohol. After a long journey with opioid addiction and other substance abuse issues, found myself in the hospital for over a week, hooked up to dialysis machines. I had overdosed on a combination of drugs, heroin, crack cocaine, and alcohol, and basically had woke up one morning, my liver and kidneys had shut down and my renal system went into acute failure, and I was on death's door. And quite an experience that was, going through discussions of organ transplants, and just had no idea what was going to happen, and having to get tubes inserted into my aorta so that blood could be pulled out of my body, circulated through a machine, cleaned, and then pumped back into my body. The craziest thing about that story is that when I got home, the first thing that I did was find the clothes that I was wearing the night before I went to the hospital, and found some drugs left over in the clothes, and snorted those drugs up as soon as I got home. That moment was the catalyst to my spiritual awakening, because up until that point, I was a Christian, very conservative, was in the military for an extended period of time, really had a very Christian conservative viewpoint of the world and how it worked, and was raised Christian, and use that as my foundation, my belief system, to try to overcome my issues with heroin, opiates, and my addiction. And when I went into the hospital and came home after being in the hospital, and everything that I put my family through, everything that I had been through in those 10 days, and the first thing I did was use the drugs that put me in the hospital, it was like a breaking point, because I had been trying to give it to God. I had been, calling out to Jesus, and all the things that the Christians will tell you to do to get rid of your sin and to find your way. I tried all that, and it didn't work. I tried for years. I went to a Christian rehab program that didn't work. It was okay. It was good. It gave me what I needed at the time, but it's not the truth. So, not the full truth. So it left me at this point in my life where I had to start from ground zero. I started over. I wiped my slate clean of what I thought I knew, what I thought I believed in, and I started over. Once I had recovered enough, I went back to work, started cleaning windows again. I'm a window cleaner by trade, still doing that to this day. I do enjoy it. It's great work. I own my own company. But while I clean windows, I could listen to podcasts while I work. So I found podcasts. I found Joe Rogan. I found Aubrey Marcus. I found Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris, all of these new ideas and ways of thinking, philosophy, spirituality, psychology, all of these different schools of thought. I just started diving into whatever I found interesting and just learned as much as I could. And bit by bit, I started to piece my understanding of reality, my understanding of truth together. I started listening to this one podcast called Philosophize This. It's a philosophy podcast. Started at Socrates and just worked my way up. I'd listened to like 50 episodes. And just started building my understanding of reality and what was true. And that was the beginning. So that was in 2017, in the spring of 2017. A couple months after that, it was March of 2017. A couple months after that, I was still struggling and didn't go back to using heroin, except for the time that I did it when I got home from the hospital. But I was, doing some pills again, and I was, wanting to get heroin again. I drove down to Detroit one day and, was trying to work up enough courage to just ask somebody if they knew where I could get some. And thankfully I didn't do it. But I had heard of this herb or this plant called kratom. And kratom is a plant indigenous to Southeast Asia, grows wild. It's in the same family as coffee. It's a good thing. I really believe that kratom, full leaf kratom, is a good thing. And I believe that because I started to use it, and it gave me enough to where I could start, really put my life together, and didn't go back to the harder drugs. So started using kratom on a daily basis. I was using that. I was using CBD. CBD also is a huge catalyst to my life and changed my life in a just absolutely dramatic way. I'll have to share that story on another episode. But kratom was really the thing that gave me it was like the bridge that allowed me to separate myself from the past, full-blown, out-of-control addiction where, I was going to overdose and die, to, putting a life together that, I could function, I could, start taking care of my health, I could, do things like save money and, actually have a somewhat normal life. Not somewhat normal, but a normal life. So I started using kratom every day, and it, absolutely, helped me put my life together. So, so let's see. So with that, that was like the beginning of my journey. The spiritual awakening. Oh, another thing too, is when I started to wake up, I started seeing repeating numbers everywhere. Angel numbers, 111. I started seeing 1111, different, 333, 222. Repeating numbers, they're called angel numbers. And the idea is that when you are seeing these numbers, it's like the universe, God is, giving you a little wink, like, hey, you're on the right path. Here's a little reassurance. Here's a sign, of, maybe a place that you're at in your life when, you're seeing the same number over and over and over again. Like lately I've been seeing 444 everywhere. I see, just go through these phases where I'll see, 333 all the time, or 444, or 777, and each one means a different thing to me. And they have different meanings. You can look them up on Google. Fours are associated with angels and your guides and things like that. And right now I'm seeing 444 a lot, and it's fitting because of the time that I'm in right now, the place I'm in, the things I'm going through. But yeah, so let's see, fast forward a bit. Just dove into podcasts, started piecing my understanding of reality back together. I've been on this spiritual awakening journey for 7-8 years, figuring out what's real, what's not real. To me, truth is one of my highest values. I'm a seeker of what's actually true, what's actually real. I'm an open-minded skeptic. So, I'm open to any and all possibilities. Like, you want to tell me the Earth's flat? Okay. I'm not going to just say, no, I don't know. I've never been up to space. I don't believe the Earth is flat. I'm not a flat earther. But I'm able to entertain that idea and just let it be what it is. I try not to be married or really hold on to my ideas and beliefs too strongly, because I've gone through, experiences time after time where my beliefs have been absolutely shattered. And the things that I thought were true and real have been absolutely shattered, and I've been proven wrong. So, one of the, Socrates, one of the things that he said was, all that I know for sure is that I know nothing, if you really entertain that idea of you really don't know anything for sure 100%, if you have the courage to entertain that, you'll realize that, oh yeah, I don't really have the answers to anything fully, and that's okay. It's okay. I don't know if we're supposed to have the answers fully to anything as human beings. We get this blip of a moment of time occupying these physical bodies, and it's very fast, very short, very intense. You talk about all of the suffering, all of the emotions that go into being a human being. It is a insane journey that we get to experience. So, I find myself at a time right now where I feel like I know less than ever before. I've, started to kind of get it like a little bit a few months back, and last year maybe I started to feel like, oh yeah, okay, I'm connecting the dots. I've accumulated all of this wisdom and knowledge through podcasts and books and studying people who are so much more, so much smarter than I am, and I'm kind of starting to piece it together, and okay, I'm kind of getting a beat on things, and then just having that just completely shattered over and over again. And I'm in a space like right now where I really don't know what the answer is, and what the direction is even. So it's hard. It's very hard. It's not fun. Spirituality is not a path for love and light. It is a path of absolute destruction from what I'm learning, just destroying everything that's not real, that's not true, that is not actually solid, letting those things get burnt off, letting those things fall away, letting the deception, the delusion just get incinerated, and being okay with it is hard. It's very hard. But nothing is easy in this life. Nothing is easy. We get to pick our heart, and this is the heart that I'm picking. I've picked, a very interesting path for myself. Maybe I haven't picked it. I don't know. There's this whole discussion about free will, and see. Okay, so this podcast, I see it as diving into all of the things that interest me. Big questions. What's God? What is God? What is truth? What is love? What is death? What happens after we die? What's happening while we're here? Psychedelics, big on psychedelics. I've been on the plant medicine path, you could say, since the beginning of my spiritual awakening. Listening to Rogan, listening to Aubrey Marcus, hearing these guys talk about these plants and DMT and just these compounds that are just insane, and you have to experience them to understand it. But definitely gonna be talking a lot about that. Spiritual practices, meditation, health, big on health, been, taking care of my body now since getting out of the hospital. And, I feel like I'm in good shape for a 35-year-old man, an American man. I have a six-pack. It's more rare to have a six-pack after 30 than it is to be a millionaire. So doing good, physically, taking care of my health, eating well. My wife and I, she's incredible. She's so good at finding good, healthy food to feed us and keeping us well nourished. So yeah, I'm going to talk a lot about, health. We'll talk about entrepreneurship. I have some experience in that area. I started a CBD company. I did mention CBD at the beginning of this, the podcast. Yeah, CBD saved my life at a time when I was absolutely desperate, looking for something. CBD came in, saved my life at that time, back in this was 2016, so before I went to the hospital. But I started a CBD company. It's a little thing, nothing big, nothing crazy. Just kind of, what's the word? We're puttering along right now with that. Still got it going. Got some plans to kind of energize things in that business and get more going there. But yeah, I've been cleaning windows, like I said, for a long time. I have my own window cleaning business. I run that by myself. No employees as of yet, but enjoy that line of work. Enjoy going. I get paid well. I make good money. Working for myself. It's a really great business, window cleaning. And I get to listen to podcasts all day, audiobooks, whatever I want to, So I'm getting this education, I'm getting paid to get this education, right? To listen to, people have discussions who are way smarter than me. If you're listening to this podcast, and you probably listen to podcasts, if you don't really listen to podcasts, I can't say enough about the value that podcasts offer, because you get to listen to very intelligent people have unscripted conversations, long form. So you're talking like an hour, most podcasts are like an hour long or longer. Rogan's podcast go to like 3 hours sometimes. And you get to hear experts in any domain you want to, learn about, discuss their expertise. And yeah, it's just incredible. It's amazing the amount of information available to us nowadays through the technology and the different ways that we can consume it. Podcasts are one of those things you can listen to when you have any kind of downtime. So when you're in the car, cleaning, at the gym, if you can listen while you work out. Personally, I don't listen to podcasts at the gym. I definitely rock lots of EDM when I'm working out. But yeah, so that's I think a pretty decent overview of where my background and where I'm thinking that this podcast is going to go. Now I'd like to talk about my current struggle, something that I've been going through. So I mentioned kratom a little bit ago. Kratom, again, is a beautiful plant when taken and used responsibly in a whole leaf state. So they take the whole leaf, they grind it up into powder. When you utilize the powder, kratom has all these different active alkaloids in it, and it has a lot of benefit for people, especially for people who are looking for something to bridge the gap between opiate addiction, opiate use, and not using opiates. Okay. There's an active alkaloid in kratom called mitragyning. Now, mitragyning is the part of the plant that gives the effects of, it gives, there's a euphoric aspect to using kratom. It's a pain reliever. It can be a stimulant when used in lower doses. So like 4 grams or less, it has kind of a stimulant-like effect where it can give you energy, can help you focus, can help you, work, whatever you're doing. It'll give you a little bit of a boost. When taken in higher doses, it has more of a sedative effect. So, when you're talking pain relief, can help you relax, can help you sleep, helps with like soreness. So there's different ways to use kratom. Now, there's a component of kratom that has hit the market somewhat recently, and it's called 7-hydroxymitragyning. And 7-hydroxymitragyning, or 7-OH for short, is so when you take kratom, you ingest it, the active alkaloid mitragyning, it gets digested through the body converts the mitragyning, and some of it gets converted into 7-hydroxy. Very small amount though. So scientists, companies, whatever, have figured out how to take mitragyning and convert it into this 7-hydroxy. 7-hydroxy is a extremely powerful opiate. We can just call it an opiate. It's stronger than morphine, okay? Now this stuff it's being sold at vape shops, smoke shops, gas stations, right next to kratom, full leaf kratom, as if it's the same thing. It is not the same thing. 7-hydroxy is very intense, very addictive, and very, very powerful. About 5-6 weeks ago, I decided that I was going to get some 7-hydroxy. I was going to a music festival. I was, had gone through some things over, this year that have been tough, whatever, I was like, I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to let loose. I've been, super disciplined and, taking care of myself. I'm going to go have some fun. So I got some 7-hydroxy, and I have not gone a day without taking 7-hydroxy since then. This was June 20th that I got it. Okay, so we're talking 6 weeks, 7 weeks now maybe. I knew the risks. I had gotten some before earlier this year. I tried 7-hydroxy and it freaked me out because of how strong and how addictive it was. But I still decided to go back and use it. Now, why did I do that? I don't know. You can make your own, judgments on that, whatever you want. I see it as, I guess I wasn't done learning what needed to be learned with this compound, with this part of me that has used opiates for, going on 2 decades. I've been activating my opioid receptors for close to 2 decades now, because the regular kratom still activates those receptors. So I had this big, realization about 7-OH and then kratom as well. And I realized that I have not gone more than a few months for the past 18 years without using some kind of opioid or stimulating my opioid receptors with some exogenous substance, something external to my being. It's been a struggle. It has been a struggle, and I want to talk about this. I want to share this, I guess, because I want, other people to hear about my situation, hear about my struggle, and maybe they can avoid having to go through this thing themselves. I know some other people who have started taking the 7-OH, and it is, I'm telling you guys, it is so fast and it hits so hard, and the addiction it's instant. You take it and it's like a day, 2 days. You take this stuff a couple days in a row, you're going to have withdrawals. Currently, I can't go more than 8 hours without feeling like absolute shit. Like I start getting hot and cold sweats. I have fatigue. I'm all disoriented, discombobulated, just feel wacky and weird. And that's because I'm in, early withdrawal from this 7-hydroxy. So I've had to up my regular kratom dose. I'm currently weaning down off of the 7-hydroxy. I'm almost off of it. I'm going to be done in 4 days is my last little dose that I'm going to take. And I've been, piling on more kratom to combat the effects, and, just trying to get away from this stuff, because I literally wake up in the morning and I feel like absolute hell. And the first thing I have to do is take some 7-hydroxy or take a large amount of kratom just to get my day going. And it's like, what am I doing? Why am I back in this space of, being completely controlled by this external substance. It's like, what is going on? So, it's not fun. So I would say, do not take this stuff. It's sold next to Kratom as if it's Kratom. It's not Kratom. I actually got this card from the company that I get my Kratom from. They sent a card. I should go get it and read it to you guys. It says, right on the card, Kratom is not 7-OH. 7-OH is not Kratom, because they're not. They're different things. Kennedy, the DEA, FDA right now are moving to quickly make 7-OH, 7-hydroxy, a Schedule 1 substance. So if you don't know anything about the drug classification, Schedule 1 drugs are the highest class of drugs that come with the biggest penalties if you're caught using them. Heroin's on there. There's a bunch of them in there that are not supposed to be. So Schedule 1. Let me backtrack. Schedule 1 listing. A Schedule 1 listing means that the substance is highly addictive, highly dangerous, and serves no medical purpose. Okay. So that's true for some of the drugs on that list. I think 7-hydroxy could serve a medical purpose. I mean, fentanyl serves a medical purpose. So whatever, it's neither here nor there. Also, I'm not sure I totally agree with it being classified as a Schedule 1, but I do not think that this stuff should be allowed to be sold over the counter to people who have no idea what they're getting, what they're taking, and what it's going to do to them, and how quickly they're going to become addicted to it, and how horrible the withdrawals are going to be coming off of it. It's very fast. Very fast, very hard. The withdrawals start within like 6 to 8 hours, because it gets in your system quick and it leaves your system quick, and it's like it's just a roller coaster, and it's not fun. But again, so I'm in the process of getting off that. I'm going to be off it in 4 days, taking the Kratom. I'm, going to get my Kratom use under surveillance. I'm going to see, okay, how much am I taking each day? And then I'm going to, make a calendar. I'm going to slowly wean down off of the Kratom, and I'm going to get off the Kratom. And from there, I'm going to go at least 2 years without taking any Kratom or opiates. So the opioid receptors, if you have abused opioids and you've taken any kind of opioid for any extended period of time, your opioid receptors are going to get all messed up. Your dopamine, your serotonin, your endorphin system, everything gets dysregulated. And it takes a minimum of 1.5 years, 18 months for that system, for your body to get back into a state of homeostasis, and for your body to get back to normal without the need or use of external, exogenous opioids. So I said before, I've only gone 3, maybe 4 months over the past 18 years, almost 2 decades, without using an opioid or opioid-like substance. I have no idea who I am without this stuff. I've been activating that pathway within myself for almost 2 decades, and I don't really know who I am without it. So I'm on this whole thing. That was the realization I had about the Kratom, and it still activating the opioid receptors, and I'm excited to figure out who I am without this stuff. So again, I'm going to figure out how much Kratom I'm taking after I'm done with the 7-OH. I'm going to make a plan, make a calendar. I've done it 5-6 times where I've gotten off Kratom, I've gotten off everything. And I'm just going to follow the plan again, do the plan, and get off of this stuff. And then I'm going to figure out who I am without these substances. So, yeah, it's cool. So maybe this podcast can be part of that journey. I'm sure I'm going to be sharing a lot about it with you guys. But yeah, I think that covers it for episode 1. I don't want to keep rambling or talk, add too much in here. So I'm going to cut it off there. But if you've made it this far, thank you. I I guess, what does everybody say? Subscribe, hit that like button. I don't know. I'm new to this stuff. So if you want to follow along the journey, Henotic Path Podcast, it's Henotic Path Podcast. That's what we're rocking with, and we're going to see where this thing goes. So blessings to everybody. Wishing you all peace and joy and love and good things. Talk to you on the next one.